Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball, and it is so good to have you with us. Figures I should screw up on my name, right? I think I've screwed up on every other place in the intro so far. Might as well mess up my own name at some point. Last week, Monday was Memorial Day. We had a big holiday weekend, no Monday video. I got to tell you, I miss our short weekends already, and I don't think I'm the only one. Our community roundtable was on Tuesday last week, and on Wednesday we released Microsoft Fabric, SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS, and Lakehouse linked data with no duplication. If you haven't seen that video, you want to make sure and check it out. This past weekend, our good buddy Dan Taylor, aka DBA Bulldog, and also Bradley Schatt of the Microsoft Fabric Cat team were down in South Florida at SQL Saturday South Florida. They had some great presentations, great interaction, but also we made a short out of that. So you want to go check that out if you hadn't, so you can get a little bit of a taste of what's going on in South Florida. You don't want to miss a thing of what we've got going on. So many things that you want to check out. If this is your first time making it over to our channel, give us a like, give us a subscribe. And if you want to interact with the show, it is so easy to do. We are streaming right now over on Twitter, on Tales TF Field, our Twitter account, also on SQL Balls, Neeraj Jhaveri, Josh Ludeman. We are on LinkedIn over under SQL Balls, and of course at our hub on YouTube at the Tales from the Field channel. If you make a comment on any one of those streams, any of them at all, one of my amazing co-hosts will see that, and they will add your comments to the stream, and you will be a part of the show. We love interacting with you folks, so please keep it coming. And speaking of those amazing co-hosts, let me introduce them right now. Before we go any further, I am joined by Andreas Padilla, Josh Ludeman, and in the Spider-Verse, you know he's the awesome Spider-Man. It's your friend of mine, Neeraj Jhaveri. Andreas, we had a big weekend. I was moving. My sore muscles are sore in places that I didn't know they could get sore. How was your weekend, buddy?
It was supposed to be one of your weekends where you're moving and I'm picking up stuff and putting them down. I ended up going to the beach because my contractors were also going to start working on my house. They postponed on me. So the pre-work that I had to do now gets shifted to this weekend. But besides that, bud, I like when you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I have muscles that I haven't felt in a while.
I know, right? I got to tell you, I ran out and I've been running. I hit a weights workout because part of me is like, I can't waste this, right? I'm sore for a reason. I need to have done more exercise. I need to keep this up to date. So I'm trying to like double down on it and be like, can I actually stay in shape? I'm at 216 right now. My lowest in my weight loss journey is I got down to 212. I'd really love it if I could get below 210. That's a big goal.
That's pure muscle, man. That you got pure muscle there.
Thanks, buddy. I'm
going to challenge you though a little bit, Andres. I like waking up in the morning and being sore to feel like I have muscles. I always feel like I have muscles. I enjoy feeling them in a more gentler, comfortable condition than the sore. But I always know that. I don't necessarily need to feel them to know they're there. I just know they are.
You need to don't like it.
Kind of like I don't see it, but I know it's there.
And Josh speaks his truth. And I like when he speaks his truth.
Absolutely. Our good buddy Ted Tiller, his muscles hurt for me as well. My muscles are overrated. I don't know. I like the muscles. They're good. It's so funny to me, just the irony of the human body. It's such a fantastic machine. It does so many things as a biological machine so well, but yet as we get older and we need to work out more than ever, it gets more difficult for us to work out more than ever. And it's just kind of like, come on, body, let's figure this one out. Little bit of evolution would be nice. Like to feel like I'm in my 20s again.
In all seriousness, getting out and doing more a little bit myself, but yeah, it's
as a matter of fact, you mentioned this in the pre-show. You're down 40 pounds, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
You got that baby off
just
that.
changing eating habits, a little bit more active, nothing drastic yet, but it's mainly around, being more conscious of what I'm eating and the choices I'm making.
No more Slim Jims.
Yeah.
No Slim Jims. No Slim Jims right now.
Well, I was going to say 40 pounds is not insignificant. The average large microwave that we have in America is 35 pounds. So, buddy, you've lost a microwave plus a small turkey inside of it.
Well, and for those who've been to my house, I have Coco, our family dog. She's a chocolate lab. I lost a complete Coco, which is something I was thinking about the other day.
Yeah. Dan said that he hit 50 and his muscles quit. Yeah. No, I understand that, Dan. I am approaching 50 myself, and I'm pretty sure he said Josh is a turducken. That explains so much.
I thought that was
Yeah, he does.
I was gonna say he's definitely full of it. But apparently it's chicken, pork, and a duck.
So it's a duck and a chicken and a turkey?
I think so.
And that's me. So I'm a turkey on the outside. That tracks.
I was going to say wrapped in a deep dish pizza and then deep fried and put in a commemorative tote bag and covered in salsa.
Okay, that tracks. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, hey, enough of that. We should probably get down to what everybody is here for. It is the Azure Data Community Roundtable. And I'm going to kick off with Neeraj Jhaveri, and you have introducing the end-to-end scenarios in Microsoft Fabric.
Yep. So Fabric out there from last 2 weeks. Last week we discussed like the initial thing, how to get access to it and all of them. Now going into deep dive, right? 4 scenarios that you can definitely look at it. A very nice article by Rev Score. She mentioned it out Lakehouse end-to-end scenarios. She has given an architectural diagram saying how you can get this in build. Then she goes over data warehouse end-to-end scenario and shows you how to do that, ingestions to transformation, storage, and orchestration of the whole thing. Data science, same way, how you can do experimental data science thing in there, and then real-time analytics. The 4 basic scenarios that you can play around with Fabric in a very easy way to do. So it's end-to-end from source to all the way to consumption layer. It shows you how to do that whole thing.
See, I love this because this is the key, right? We've rolled out the technology. We've said the introduction. There's only so many times you can do the introduction. Now is when we start to play with it. Now is where we need these scenarios, and we need to understand those end-to-end scenarios of when are customers going to be doing these things? When do we follow these steps? If I want to build this architecture, what does it look like? That is a great link. As a matter of fact, I'm grabbing that so I can go through it later, because I don't know. You know what? We forgot to talk about it on the top of the show, but we just recently found out that there is a good chunk of the Tales from the Field crew that will be going to Josh's favorite place, the beautiful grounds of the Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort for Live 360. We'll have a banner prepared for this as we move along, but there will be a full day pre-con featuring myself, Josh Ludeman, Neeraj Jhaveri, and Buck Woody from the Microsoft SQL product group. And we will be talking about a full day of Microsoft Fabric from the introduction of the product to the final resolution. And we will be going through a bunch of those different scenarios with you live. And we're also going to be developing some content on GitHub to make sure that people can take this home. We're going to have videos on the channel that accompany these things as well. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to make sure that when we finish with this, we've got something you can take and you can teach. And we want people to be able to go out and get this data, and we want you to use this repo. So stay tuned. We will have more. We'll talk about this more at the bottom of the hour as well, or at the bottom of the show. On to our next link. I'm up. I have Derek Wilson, and this is a blog called Parameter Sensitive Plan Optimization. Why? And I love this because it's not just the full technical article, and he's got links in here to be able to give you design course if you want to do a deep dive on parameter sensitive plans. I love that. I've run through those articles. It's really important to know, but specifically they want to talk about what they're doing, why they do it, and different CUs that they have introduced to be able to make different fixes to the process, and that this comes from the user feedback. And I think that's a very, very important thing to understand the concept of this article, because I saw this link too, and it was, Microsoft's kind of having problems with this. That's not what this is about. What this is about is we have engineered a product in one specific way. And as my colleagues will tell you, the feedback process that we get from the community and from people using the features is absolutely critical. And there are different things that we need to take into account, ways we need to tweak and adjust features. And this is being done. And then specifically, we've got bug references, fix areas, and the CU that you're going to be able to find this in. So if you're relying on, or if you're finding that you might be having an issue with parameter sensitive plan optimization. I keep wanting to stick a performance in there. That's because it's a key performance tuning technology. One of the things to do is check out these different things, but also keep in mind the importance of feedback. We have a feedback site for Microsoft. You can also open up tickets. You can raise this up to the product group. Nobody outside of Microsoft is unreachable. And that's a very important thing to keep in mind. You can go and you can find people on LinkedIn. You can communicate with them. There's a tons of different ways for us to be able to get feedback. And typically what we'll do is we'll say, here's an email, send it in to us. Josh, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say you were talking about people at Microsoft that can take feedback.
Yeah, and give it to the product group. We absolutely can
communicate it to the right people. I'm just kind of like waving my hand like, hey, we're right here.
Yeah, it's a big part of the job that we do is working with the product groups and giving them that feedback. Next up, I have Andreas. Andreas, we have announcing our improved experiment tracking tools in Azure Machine Learning.
Great announcement from Amy Patel. And if Amy Patel, she's from the Azure ML team, and she had some great sessions at Build. One of them was it was called Practical Deep Dive into Machine Learning Techniques and ML Ops. Kick ass presentation. Love what she put out there with the Azure ML team. But one of the things that is in preview, it's still in public preview, is all the new capabilities that are coming out with dashboarding and visualizations, and giving people a better view of what's going on with their models, whether they have to make better informed decisions with whether to retrain their models, which models are the most precise. So there's a lot more capabilities with more flexible dashboarding, improved job lists, comparing your experiments and the jobs within those experiments. You get a lot more consolidated, better views in one spot, so you don't have to jump around. This is in preview. You can go into your Azure ML Studio. Up in the top right corner, there's a little microphone. You click on that microphone and you can turn on a number of these other previews features that are in preview. You can turn them on and enable them inside your Azure ML Studio. So go ahead, go in your machine learning studio, click on that, start experimenting with that new features that are coming in for track, compare, and visualizing and training jobs. It's going to make your life a lot easier when comparing experiments and the precision of those experiments and those jobs. So great article. Thank you, Amy Patel, for this.
Nice.
Very nice. Love it. Great stuff.
Great article.
Agreed. Next up, I have Mr. Josh Ludeman hold on a second. I've actually got something somewhat out of order here. So Josh, I'm going to pull yours up. And I'm not sure what happened in the pre-show. Somehow that got closed. There we go.
It was my private link. You just came after me and you're like, oh, that's his. Shut it down. No, it's all good. So this is actually a great article. So when, out in the world, we talk to folks, how can I get good at this? And one of the things we usually get is on a specific service. How do I understand, get better at troubleshooting X service? And my response is always to understand the service best. There's not like a specific troubleshooting skill for a specific service, but it's really understanding how the service works from end to end. So this article, I love it because what they're doing is it's about troubleshooting, but what they do is they lay out exactly what is private endpoint for, Azure DB, how to create it so that you can see that process, maybe understand that, oh, I didn't do that. And maybe that's why this is not working right. Then it goes through each of the main scenarios of what you're going to do to create a connection to that private endpoint to Azure DB. whether it be from a VM off Azure, so an on-prem VM. Not necessarily just on-prem, could be a VM that you have networked in from another cloud even. But how to set that up to properly connect using Azure Functions to connect to that private endpoint, and even failover groups using private links. So some of the gotchas that can come up in there. Great article, goes to the nth depth and giving you what you need to do basic troubleshooting, up to the point of where you're going to go, yeah, I need help, and put in a support ticket. But a lot of great information here.
Nice.
Definitely encourage people to take a look at it.
Nice. Yep.
Oh, great. And as a matter of fact, I actually used this with a customer earlier last week, and it's a wonderful article. It's super in depth, and what I love is it covers all the different scenarios from being able to set this up in your host file and using a VPN to using a DNS forwarder, how to be able to set those things up, and creating a conditional forwarder within Azure. There's so many wonderful things in this article that if you don't know how to do it, you might not have been able to get this done beforehand. So it just covers it in depth, so you know all the possibilities. Great stuff. Love that link, Josh. Neeraj, I've got you up next.
So,
AI and XMind, how to create a mind map with ChatGPT.
So yesterday I was in a discussion with Andreas, who loves to create mind maps. He has mind maps for every single thing, probably. I would say every single thing that he works on. So what came up was in the discussion was, can we convert the mind map into ChatGPT and all of them? So I was just looking at some articles and came up on a good article where ChatGPT can create mind maps and the other way around. So and it shows you step by step how to go, and whatever you put it in the system, it will start building that mind map out of it. A very nicely done article by XMind, and they are showing you how to create this whole mind map out of ChatGPT. And then you can convert it into a text also. So you can use this up, Andreas, for documentation or something like that. So that's 2 ways down on it.
So what I just heard is you just gave Andreas a link so that he doesn't have to create mind maps anymore. He's just
that's what I was trying to do. Make him easy. Make him.
I like easy buttons.
Work on more videos to make. That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, but it's also very cool because you have invested a lot of time in these mind maps, and there's great ways to be able to make these a graphic or a flow or some text to be able to give folks as well. Because sometimes mind maps work really great for some folks. For some, they have issues being able to transverse them. So it gives you multiple different formats to be able to give this information, which in the end, all we're trying to do is get that information out to people. I love it, and another inventive way to be able to use ChatGPT. So coming up next, it is me, and I've got what's new in SQL Server Data Tools 17.6, Ledger Performance and Copilot. This is by Shabat Baska. And I want to say that it is just a fantastic article, because if you're not using SQL Server Data Tools, and there are so many of us where, we use so many different products, it's wonderful to know that this is continuing to be updated, is continuing to be worked on. And if you look at this, it gives you an overview and how to be able to access your ledger tables, how to be able to create them. There's nice little graphs and a little bit of the plague images right there, so you can see the step-by-step. And then you can also build out the databases, other additional enhancements, as well as being able to integrate with GitHub Copilot. So lots of fantastic stuff coming from that team. You want to make sure that you go check that out. And especially if you're using those tools, make sure and go and download the latest copy, so you've got access to them, so you can do these latest and greatest things that are available within SQL. All right, so next up, back to Andreas again. Understanding ChatGPT plugins, benefits, risks, and future developments.
Oh, we're going to have to give a big thumbs up to Mary Newhouser for this great 13-minute read, and organizing and explaining to us what plugins are in ChatGPT, the benefits, the risks, how that landscape looks like. Basically, ChatGPT plugins, they're like, Google plugins. I can add in ChatGPT a plugin to help me get out to the internet. Maybe tie into Zapier. Maybe plugins to talk to on-prem data. There's advantages to that, because now instead of ChatGPT being going out and giving me finding the intent of what I'm trying to talk to him about and grab the context and giving me information and responses based on what it's expects and not real-time data. It can actually now incorporate real-time data and go out to use browsers and go out and get real-time information from live links. That's one of the capabilities. It can also incorporating ChatGPT plugins. I can tap into on-premises data. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm making that experience that where ChatGPT lacks, I'm extending it out to real-time data. I love this. However, be careful because some of these ChatGPT plugins are built by third parties, which means there could be a security risk. Obviously, validate, test out, look at those plugins before you use them. These plugins, like Mary Newhouser explains, there's some limitations. Some of them are slow. Some of them can cause ChatGPT to hallucinate and not give you appropriate, responses. All in all, I think there's a benefit. I think there's a plus for using these plugins. It's easy to incorporate into ChatGPT. And she also goes in and gives us some good recommendations of the most notable plugins to be using. Notable, for example, Zapier, for example, is a good plugin. So there are great plugins to incorporate into your with your ChatGPT prompts.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I was going to say the limitation too about the hallucinations. That's the one that, I don't feel like we can hammer on enough with any of these LLMs. It's very important to remember, data science is just that, a science, and treat, I like to encourage people to treat every answer that comes from it almost like a hypothesis, in that still might want to check and make sure it proves out, right? Before you kind of believe it as gospel. I mean, there's been plenty of articles written to pick on different models where it's, they've asked it something and it spits out an answer, and then you go look at the answer and it's like, yeah, no, that's not even close to accurate. So just be aware.
I think it's important to keep in mind, right? This happened with every massive major modern invention. I don't know if you remember. I'm going to give you a quick quiz. Let's see if you can come up with what it was. But when it was installed on vehicles, Congress believed it would hypnotize people, lead to mass casualty incidents, people driving off the road and dying. And they fought the regulation of it very, very hard. What feature on an automobile am I talking about?
Rear view mirror?
Rear view mirror, yeah. Or the camera thing.
Windshield wipers.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I can
see
how the conclusion can be jumped to. Not that I agree with it. Let me be accurate about my.
And so here's the thing. That's in the 1930s when that was originally legislated, right? There was a point in time where people were looking at horses and they were like, "Oh, you're hauling cargo with horses. You're going to put humans out of business doing this." And then the cars came along and they were like, "Oh, you're going to put the horses out of business, and humans aren't going to have jobs." And then there was automation in factories. And what was it? Well, no human will ever work in a factory again. What do we find? Human beings are still there. All these things are tools that just accentuate our existence. And what we're doing for the first time is we're finding a tool that is revolutionary, not only in the field of technology and in what we do, but also for other folks. My wife had to write a couple emails or a professional recommendation letter, and she showed me how she used ChatGPT. She had to clean it up, add her own little touches to it, but it gave her the body and the majority of what she needed to do. And I look at it and I go, this is the automobile coming along. And right now people are like, "Oh no more horses. What do we do?" We'll be fine. But it's a tool for us to use, but it's not perfection. We still need human beings for that.
Right. Yeah. So my wife was applying to a couple of jobs, and one place actually required her to write a cover letter. And she goes, "I can't remember the last time I wrote a cover letter." I'm like, "That's okay." Went to ChatGPT, put in a good prompt talking about what they were looking for. And then I sent it to her in an email, and she goes, "Holy crap, did you write that?" I'm like, "Oh God, no, you better proofread that though." And she retuned it to her own words. But yeah, it was like, there you go. That's a good cover letter. Run with it.
All right. So back to the cat tip. And next up, we've got Andreas. I'm sorry, not Andreas. We have Neeraj. My apologies. I was just checking the list. My mind was on Andreas. What is Data Factory and Microsoft Fabric?
That's Josh. That's Josh.
That's Josh?
Yeah.
Josh is celebrating you today completely.
Oh, Josh.
Yeah, he's eliminating me from the show completely. Yeah, this is me.
You're getting canceled.
My bad. Sorry, your name was on one page and the link was on the other page, and so I associated it with Neeraj. My apologies, Josh.
So I'd like to thank everybody for coming to the last live stream that apparently I'll be on, because apparently I'll be forgotten on the invite.
No. You're a critical piece of technology that will not replace a human being anytime soon.
I expect in the last couple moments I'm just going to get dropped. It's going to be like removed from stream. Oh, hey. So this is actually from Reza Rad. Reza is a great valuable piece of the data community, focuses a lot in a lot of the PaaS and even SaaS platforms that Microsoft offers, like Power BI, Data Factory, and things like this. But this is a great article where he actually, first of all, kudos to him for this. It's a blog post and then a video at the beginning that covers everything about the blog post. I love those just because everybody learns differently. This one, he dives into what Fabric is, and then gets right down to the nitty-gritty of the Data Factory piece of Fabric. So talking about data flows, or even further back, talking about where Data Factory was conceived from, the pipelines, all that, and then again wraps it up with a nice summary with some great links to documentation around what is Fabric, how to enable it, Lakehouse, other great posts as well, of either his or Microsoft documentation throughout. So great link, great source of truth, justice in the data way. I love him.
Excellent. So next up, looking at my notes and being very careful about this, I have Neeraj Jhaveri, thought leadership, what it is and how to master it in 2023.
So I was doing some learning exercise, and then I came upon thought leadership. I mean, that what came up somehow from my old laptop from my previous company, and I was like, wow, I did a training on thought leadership, and maybe I should start reading on it. And came out with a good article on this. I mean, what thought leadership is. I mean, everybody has a different perspective of thought leadership in there. They give a poll of what people are thinking about what thought leadership is in there. And then who are the thought leaders? So she goes on describing up who the thought leaderships are and all this stuff. And then the benefits of thought leadership and the marketing on it. Very nicely written article. It definitely helps you create your brand in there, generate your backlinks, shares, and all of them, attract potential clients. I mean, definitely that was something that I was looking at it, and nicely written article. So definitely read about this. Nice written article on thought leadership.
Very, very nice. So I'm up next. I have Create and Verify Microsoft Fabric Capacity by Dharmendra Kashrai. And I want to say I loved this because we've had so many times that we've looked at and we've talked about Fabric, but this actually talks about how you provision it. It looks a little bit at the size resources, which, as we know, after you get through the preview, you're gonna have to provision something like this. But this does it on how you would do it through the Azure portal, and I found that to be absolutely fantastic. I haven't seen a lot of content specifically on this, but then how you would access it. And one of the things that he talks about is how you can look at the specific capacity. And then in the next blog, they're going to look at how they link that capacity to a workspace. So this is a really, really great getting started blog when you look at how we're going to provision this capacity, how we link it in Power BI and provision it. And I'm excited for the next part of the series where he's going to look at specifically how we link that capacity to a workspace.
Nice.
Andreas, I've got you up next. Build intelligent applications using ChatGPT and Azure Cosmos database.
Oh, Mark Brown, way to go for this. This is a quick win. Couple of things are happening in this blog that Mark Brown put out. One, he gives us an easy button to deploy a website that links to ChatGPT, that gives us what we're used to. On the left-hand side, we have our chats. Down at the bottom, we have our prompt, and we can talk to ChatGPT. But he also incorporates Cosmos DB into the mix in order to maintain history and the context if you were to come back. It is actually a very typical type of scenario where you're joining an app service with ChatGPT and either saving the history inside of Cosmos DB, or you may have inside of Cosmos DB other information about shoes, information about your product line, and you want to go into Cosmos DB and extract that information and could group and join ChatGPT's response with what you have in your on-prem database, or Cosmos DB. Cosmos DB in this instance. What he shows us is how those three components work together and how easily this can be deployed. And he gives us a quick, easy button with an ARM template to deploy this whole environment inside your subscription. In 5 minutes, you'll be up and running with your own website that talks to ChatGPT, gives you that look and feel that you're used to. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's a quick win.
That's really cool. And I love this because it's all, Josh, I don't know if you picked up on this, what they're laying down, but this is all baseball data. So a lot of really cool, fun stuff on there. I love it. Andreas, I know you've got to head out and we're going to lose you a little early. So thanks so much for being here today, my friend. We will close this out by saying, last but not least, we go to Mr. Josh Ludeman. Josh, deploy and run Azure OpenAI ChatGPT applications on AKS via Bicep by Polo Salvatore. I got this right this time, right? This is
AKA on AKS, yes.
AKA on, yeah. AKA on
AKS, also known as AKS.
His muscles.
Don't pick on me when I start talking with my mute button on. So this is Josh's turn for revenge. Enjoy.
I was going to say maybe I need to start talking with my mute button on.
It might be an improvement over time.
Right. That's what I'm thinking at this point.
I was not going to let that opportunity go without dropping that. So this is a great article for I think folks who regular attendees of the show, I got a little bit, I've got a great background in Microsoft, but I've got a little bit of a side itch I have to scratch every once in a while with open source. So looking at this and deploying Azure OpenAI or ChatGPT app on AKS using Bicep, it goes through, and Brad, I would encourage you not to scroll the whole thing because it is long, it is in depth, it is the full application. Paulo puts in here. Paulo's actually from the Fast Track team as well. Works as part of our ISV side, works with ISV specifically. And it actually goes through doing identity work, chat completion API, using ChatGPT to make a magic 8-ball type of app where you can ask it questions and it uses ChatGPT to generate the responses. He gives the code in I believe it's the second paragraph. Yep, I'm looking at it on my screen as well. Second paragraph has the GitHub repo link, everything you need. He even gives a link to another article about how to deploy and run ChatGPT on AKS by deploying it with Terraform. Goes through all that as well. Again, goes through all this, gives you all the code for it. It's a great piece. And it's one of those really long form demos that could give you a good, almost completely end-to-end walkthrough of deploying on Azure. Because you're deploying the AKS, OpenAI piece, and all the Bicep work. It's great.
Well, and I want to point out, here's the scroll bar, right? So Josh isn't wrong. Like, this is a super detailed article. So if you're looking at how you do this, you are hooked up with absolutely everything, including the links to be able to make it through this. So this is a fantastic article. If you're looking at how you would deploy this application and you can run this on AKS, this is definitely something you want to look at, because chances are your answer is somewhere in here.
And someone who's made this mistake in the past, the most important thing he remembered to include at the end of the article, how to clean up the resources after you've deployed it.
Oh, that's good.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's solid. All right. So that is all of the content we've made it through. And so let's talk just a little bit more about Live 360 in our wrap up, because, oh my goodness, Josh, where is it we're heading again?
Oh, so it is on the beautiful grounds of Universal Studios Orlando at the luscious, beautiful, picturesque Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort and Conference Center.
Yeah, this place is absolutely wonderful. So keep in mind, we are going to be there the week before Thanksgiving. No better place in the world to be. The park will be decorated for Christmas. And so the Christmas decorations will be up. They typically have this amazing gingerbread house with a little locomotive that goes around a Christmas tree in the lobby. But the second you walked in, you're hit by this beautiful floral scent because it is a Pacific resort. And so it's got those fresh kind of flower smells that you think of with Hawaii or some of the Pacific islands where you have the beautiful sea breeze hitting you. It is just an end-to-end great experience. Wonderful, wonderful place. And keep in mind that your hotel key at the Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort is a 2-park fast pass. So when you are done, you can head over to the park, you can have some fun, but also it is great place to take your family. Don't go there alone. Every year we see conference attendees there with their spouses, with their children. And there is a dessert luau that will be on Wednesday. There is a really fun luau where they make people get up and dance on stage. That happened to me last year, where I was first up there. But to be fair, I sold out Tom Rock, and Tom also did it. Go to the link, aka.ms/live360. That will take you to the event page for this year. I'm sure in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have the full conference listing there. There's tons of wonderful pre-cons. You want to go check this out. This is your chance to be able to hang out with us one-on-one, ask questions, but also the other Microsoft MVPs and the Microsoft speakers who will be there. Myself, Josh, Neeraj, and our good friend Buck Woody will be joining us. We will end up having a little bit of a live session before we go just to talk about this. And there's a lot of content we will be producing leading up to this. So we want to make sure that you can all take advantage of this and you can use it. Don't forget this week, we will drop an MS Tech Bits tomorrow. We're going to be looking at how we utilize notebooks in Azure Fabric. And so we're going to be playing around with notebooks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Next Tuesday, we have our roundtable. So if you are a creator, if you have content, if you would like it to be featured on the show, please reach out to us because we would love to feature your content. Hit us up on our Twitter at TailsFT Field. Hit us up on our YouTube channel down in the comments below this. I see every single comment, and so do my colleagues, that gets posted to the channel, and we will make sure to get back to you. Go to our channel at Tales from the Field on YouTube, of course, aka.ms/TFTF YouTube, to be able to go directly to that channel. Jillian, anything else that you can think of?
No, I don't think so. Brad, you hit all the high points, and especially how excited I am for Live 360.
I am always excited for Live 360. It is going to be so much fun. You want to make sure you're there.
I was going to say, let's be honest. Yes, you pointed out I did drop some pounds, but my gosh, I am going to Voodoo Donuts and I'm getting a donut with bacon on it. I'm just saying.
You know, I'll be honest. I don't know what it is in my old age. I love donuts, but they got to be super fresh and handmade for me to really, really enjoy them.
Oh, I know what that is. You're bougie. I got that. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. I'll take it. I'll take it. All right. Be good to one another out there. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.